Alright, so I've been into watching some police chase videos recently, and I figured why not do a reaction video to some of those. And excuse the cats playing in the background, they get crazy, especially at night. But let's get into the video. Alright, so they're chasing an alleged shooting suspect, and that's literally all I know.
Yes. Well, I'm actually want to. They really want to bring this thing to an end. They might be seeing a pit maneuver right now. Now, this is
So
a different person.
like
that driver getting out of the car and that suspect taking it over right there. This is the second vehicle, though. This is a shooting suspect. It started out earlier on. That first vehicle, he abandoned it, and then the person, the driver of this car, basically picked him up. That's the way we understand it. I don't think it was a carjacking, but that vehicle, you can clearly saw it right there. The driver of that car giving it up to whoever that suspect is, a shooting suspect, and that pursuit continuing. LAPD helicopter overhead, and of course we're keeping an eye on it as well. Coming onto 60th Street, southbound on 60th. Now, I'm not sure if LAPD is behind it. I don't want to get too wide of a shot right now because Skyfox is being held back because of the LAX airspace. So we're kind of almost at end of lens right now, and we're going to keep an eye on it. But this pursuit definitely going out here. LAPD really want to bring that suspect, the driver of that car, into custody. Very high speeds out here. We're making these sharp turns, and this is a very residential neighborhood. We're in the Hyde Park area, like you said, and we've been staying there, even though this vehicle moving very, very quickly. Some hard turns, but LAPD, that helicopter, that's going to be overhead. If the ground units are re-engaged in this pursuit, they're not here yet.
If you were like expecting that guy to stop at that stop sign, you'd just be like, oh, and then, oh, he's not stopping. I mean, hopefully you would catch that in time, but I mean, just like that, you know?
But because of that crazy driving and those recent fatalities during these pursuits, LAPD being very careful, but this suspect driving very recklessly this afternoon.
I mean, obviously the cops aren't on his tail because, you know, they don't want to, like, make him drive any more recklessly. But at the same time, it's like...
right now, we're going to be in the Hyde Park area. We just made a turn onto, I believe this is going to be Market Street, and you can see he's making his way out to a major. And this is a stop sign. Whoa, that was a close one. That's going to be, I think that was Centinela. That was Centinela. We just made Inglewood. We're in the city of Inglewood right now. That's right. Yeah. And, you know, but this vehicle continuing on, driving a little slower, made his way by a school right there. You're right. Whenever they're in these residential neighborhoods, these tighter roads, this is one of the spots where, like, a lot of suspects look for a place to jump out and hide. But when they drive so recklessly, so fast through those neighborhoods, you can't help but cringe every moment. A lot of folks out there not expecting somebody to be doing 90 miles an hour. Oh, that would have been an ugly one right there with that bus. 90 miles an hour through a residential neighborhood, making his way through here, again, cutting off a bunch of other traffic. A lot of these folks, again, that was a solid red light. At least he wasn't flying through that intersection. Skyfox, we're doing what we can to stay with it. But right now in the Inglewood area, making his way over to the LAX area, this is very difficult. It's for Skyfox. LAPD, they might get a little bit more of a pass for chasing an armed suspect. But right now you can see he's getting farther and farther away from us, making his way southbound. And now on Eucalyptus, making another turn there. LAPD still in pursuit. I'm so glad to see one of those vehicles at least keeping up with it. And of course, the helicopter, they're going to stay with it as well. We're going to stay with it as long as we can. But this is a shooting suspect. We heard it might be related to something we were listening to earlier on. Is a shooting suspect. We heard it might be related to something we were listening to earlier on this morning, a shots fired call in the downtown area. But right now, this vehicle moving very, very quickly in the Inglewood area, LAPD behind it, but at a distance because of these high speeds.
Absolutely, Stu. And you mentioned earlier, this was very interesting because this shooting suspect evidently was in a car, got out and bailed that first vehicle, got into another car, basically carjacking someone else at around 52nd and La Brea, and then abandoned one car, got into another. And then we saw live here as we came to this scene that car driver got out of that car, and now the shooting suspect took off in this silver vehicle.
Sure. So a couple of people are talking to me. I'm just trying to keep this shot right now. It is behind that railroad right there, and I don't want to lose it. It looks like we are continuing on to Florence. I want to see if he pops out right over. Almost lost him. Tricky little guy. I'm going to try to put the map up. You guys got to understand. Right now, I am, end of lens and trying to keep this shot going here. Going to drop some of that information. You guys don't need to see that, but there you go. You can get an idea where this is right now. And again, I'm having trouble keeping an eye on it because he's well into the LAX area. This shot probably about. You probably can't even see it out the window with your naked eye. But right now, we're keeping this shot the best we can. LAPD in pursuit. You know what? That actually might be Inglewood. Nope, that's LAPD. Solid red right there. And this is what we don't want to see. We don't want to see any more fatalities at the end of a pursuit. We don't want to even see somebody get hurt at the end of a pursuit. But this suspect, definitely a shooting suspect, and they want to bring this to an end. Just make conversation real quick. There's a little bit of a filler. We don't know if this was a carjacking. I don't think this was a carjacking. The way it was described was it almost seemed like somebody was waiting for him, and he got into that car. Moving farther and farther away from us right now. You can see it. He's on Manchester, moving very, very quickly. And again, this is hopefully he makes a turn and comes up to the north. But it's oh my goodness. As we made our way through another major intersection right there, now on the wrong side of the road, and he's continuing on oh my gosh. On Manchester, making a turn now onto Tuxton. Very, very busy out there. This is a area where you can see a lot of shopping, a lot of industrial. Just don't want to see anybody get hurt.
He is not.
You're doing an amazing job staying with this suspect, Stu, as he drives erratically, and we understand there's so many restrictions around LAX area because of the airspace, and obviously you have to take precautions in terms of where you're able to fly. I see he just turned on Sepulveda right now, and clearly this is a very concerning situation because of the fact this driver is driving erratically right there, going into traffic, basically oncoming cars, blowing through stop signs and stop lights right here. Ooh, so many close calls we've been seeing, but so far, thankfully, no collisions at this point. But as you mentioned, an interesting situation with a shooting suspect, then having another vehicle waiting for him and basically switching vehicles, ditching his friend or whoever the driver was, and now pursuing this in a silver vehicle as we've been following. But clearly, yes, it is a very tricky situation. You see a black and white right there going on its tail. But for a lot of these police officers, law enforcement, in the last couple of weeks, dealing with pursuits like this, and tragically, innocent lives are lost. So they have to really make that decision on whether or not to keep pursuing a suspect in these cases or whether to back off.
Well, this one, it's never a no-brainer. That is, just to think that is naive in its own self. This is a shooting suspect. That we clearly heard that in the beginning. So this is somebody that was armed at one time, shooting at somebody. I don't know if that person was actually injured or shot, or there were just shots fired. But nevertheless, this is the type of person they want to keep off of the roads and behind bars. Maybe that person can get the help that they need. Through a big parking lot out here is another one of those spots you just don't expect somebody to come tearing through at those high speeds. Some pedestrians out there as well, making another, looks like a major block here. But that one LAPD officer, I mean, my goodness, to stay with this guy so well, that person clearly did well in the driving classes and definitely gets the gold star of the day. But this vehicle right here now ripping through the center divider. I would, oh my gosh. Could you just imagine being in that car and having that guy tearing down the center divider right at you? Making that turn now, it looks like we're back onto Manchester. And but again, the speeds never slowing down. This car continuing to move at these extremely high speeds. And again, the person behind the wheel, a suspect wanted with in relation to a shooting, a little hard turn right there.
Yeah.
That seems to be. I would almost venture to say that's might be a Chevy Impala. And the only reason I'm bringing that up is that it's not the newest car. Not saying anything bad about it, but driving at 100 miles an hour, hard on the brakes, hard turns, and through another solid red light right there. You're wondering how long that car can continue to make those be driven like that on the streets. Of course, LAPD behind it the best they can. It looks like he's making a turn. I got to stay a little bit wide. There he is, making a turn there on Adams and Aviation. Sorry, on Aviation. So he's kind of making his way back towards the airport. But right now, we're going to keep the shot as best we can. And of course, very dangerous. Hopefully, if you know anybody that might be out here on the roadway, I wouldn't text them, but try to get some information to them. Just tell them there is a crazy pursuit going on right now. This vehicle moving at extremely high speeds, and it basically has run every intersection, red light, another solid red, just every intersection that they have come up against this morning.
Absolutely terrifying for drivers out there, for people going about their day, for people transported on those buses that you see where he's driving very dangerously near right there. And it looks like he kind of made a circle around that area, obviously driving along Manchester Boulevard, now turned to Aviation, as you mentioned, and then kind of making a circle around the Inglewood, LAX area. So it's obviously anyone's guess as to where this person is going.
No.
Thankfully, avoiding that collision. Again, we've seen so many close calls, Stu.
So many close calls, and this person seems to be making their way over to LAX. Now we're on Century Boulevard. It's going to be very difficult for us to keep an eye on it. LAPD, they are down there. You see them actually getting closer and closer as he's making his way over to LAX. I'm going to try to get ahead of it, and if anybody sees it, like doesn't realize that I might not be seeing it, please shout it out. I believe that's it right there. So never mind. Making his way, it looks like we're going to be going into LAX. This. You'd think that, this is how I'm going to get away. Not really the best of moves. There you go. Make that U-turn. Let's get out of the LAX area. So now making his way back the other direction, still on Century Boulevard. But again, LAPD right there behind him. The helicopter, just so everybody kind of gets the idea here. Even the LAPD helicopter not allowed in there right now. So it's not just the media that can't follow. It is everybody involved, keeping an eye out, seeing where he comes out. But hopefully we didn't lose him behind the buildings. Oh, no, there he is. And he's driving through the on the grass right there, trying to get away from the LAPD and trying to get around some of that traffic. Coming out to another major, not a major right there, and a lot of traffic that was on Aviation. And continuing on, we're going to be going eastbound on Century, making our way towards the freeway. Freeway would be great, especially if he makes his way northbound. If he makes his way southbound, it's going to be difficult for Skyfox to follow.
Yeah, you're seeing increased traffic right there, but obviously a desperate situation for this suspect trying to evade officers who are on its tail because of the fact he jumped the curb, drove on the sidewalk, and then came off the curb. So trying to avoid traffic and trying to obviously get caught.
He's going to be on the other side of the freeway, Jeff.
There we go. He is trying to flee the scene and obviously
he's on the other side of the freeway.
Lose the officers, pursuing him. But right there, you see him on Century Boulevard, driving erratically, speeding, and obviously a real danger to motorists and other vehicles on the street. I hear you, Stu, a little frustrated.
No, I'm a little frustrated because I think we may have lost the vehicle or he involved in some sort of collision behind that Motel 6. We're going to be making the turn right here, see if we can clean it up. He was going eastbound right there, and now I'm not seeing those LAPD vehicles getting out there, and I did see some cars stopping there for a moment or two. We're going to see if we can find out exactly what happened. The LAPD also not coming out from the other side. There he is. There.
Oh.
He's on the... Okay, he's on the 405 north or southbound.
Okay, so there you see it. As we try to find a better picture and a bit better glimpse of this suspect who is wanted for a shooting that took place.
Okay. hang on.
Beginning in Hyde Park, we are over the scene of a pursuit right now. This is kind of in the LAX Inglewood area. Stu and Sky Fox and crew looking for that suspect, LAPD in pursuit. And this was interesting because it looked like he had a vehicle waiting for him. And then, is that it right there? You see a lot of movement from LAPD. Patrol cars down on the scene right there. That looks like
there we go.
Manchester Boulevard on the 405, Stu. There you go. Someone's on.
Yes, Manchester on the 405. You got an officer right there running, a couple of officers running. Some people were saying he was still on the freeway. Look, he looks like
oh my God.
Oh, he's trying to take over a pickup truck right there, out there in LAPD. Nice tackle, taking that, helping that suspect make the decision to go into custody right there after he tried to take over looked like a lawn truck or a maintenance vehicle right there. He got into that back real quick. Sorry about that we lost it there behind the buildings, but we do what we can do. But in the end, we did get that suspect going into custody. LAPD going in for the tackle, taking that guy down. This officer that was right there, they were driving with the doors open for a moment, so I kind of had a feeling they knew where they were going. I didn't see that suspect to the last minute, but right there you've got that suspect in custody right now. Now this was a very dangerous person. This was apparently a person that was shooting a weapon or had shot earlier on. Not sure if he just got stuck, but there is the suspect vehicle, and that shows you right there if that car wasn't carjacked. And don't let your friends borrow your car. Anyways, this coming to an end out here on the northbound 405 near Manchester.
All right, Stu, thank you so much for your coverage, for staying on top of that, a high-speed pursuit.
Man, that was a wild chase there, but from my understanding, I believe that actually recently happened. But I will catch you guys later. See ya.